Welcome back to our investigation into the mystery of Ravana's 10 heads. So far, we've explored the rich symbolic interpretations and discovered how different cultures have adapted this ancient figure to reflect their own understanding of power and human nature. Today, we're venturing into the most controversial territory of all, the claims that Ravana's impossible characteristics might be evidence of advanced ancient technology or even genetic engineering. Before we dive in, I want to be clear about our approach. We're going to examine these theories with the same rigor we've applied to traditional interpretations. We'll look at the evidence that proponents present, understand why these ideas have gained popularity, and also consider the significant criticisms from mainstream academia. Our goal isn't to promote any particular viewpoint, but to understand the full spectrum of how people have tried to explain this ancient mystery. The ancient advanced technology hypothesis suggests that many seemingly supernatural elements in ancient epics, like the Ramayana, were actually descriptions of sophisticated technology possessed by prehistoric civilizations. According to this theory, ancient peoples either developed advanced science independently or received it from extraterrestrial visitors, a core claim of the ancient astronaut theory. Proponents point to several elements in the Ramayana as potential evidence. Ravana's kingdom of Lanka is described as a magnificent, well-fortified island city with advanced infrastructure. Some modern researchers have used AI-assisted geospatial analysis to suggest that sites like Sigiriya in Sri Lanka, with its impressive ancient fortress and sophisticated engineering, could correspond to descriptions of Ravana's capital. The most compelling evidence for this theory centers on the vimanas, the flying machines described throughout the epic. Ravana's Pushpaka Vimana is described with remarkable detail. It could move in any direction, travel at tremendous speeds, carry multiple passengers, emit light, and respond to mental commands. These descriptions, proponents argue, sound remarkably similar to advanced aircraft or even spacecraft. The weapons described in the Ramayana also fuel these theories. The brahmastra is depicted with effects comparable to nuclear weapons, causing massive destruction, lingering environmental damage, and even genetic effects on survivors. The Agnayastra behaves like an incendiary weapon, while the Vayavayastra seems to manipulate atmospheric conditions. Some researchers point to findings at Indus Valley sites like Mohenjo-Daro, where layers of vitrified material and skeletons with elevated radiation levels have been discovered, though mainstream archaeology attributes these to natural geological processes. But here's where we encounter the most radical claim, that Ravana's 10 heads were the result of ancient genetic engineering. This theory suggests that prehistoric civilizations possessed the ability to manipulate biological organisms at the genetic level, creating beings with extraordinary physical characteristics. When I first encountered this theory, I was intrigued by its boldness. The idea that ancient peoples might have possessed biotechnology that we're only now redeveloping is certainly thought-provoking. However, as I delved deeper into the actual textual evidence, significant problems emerged. The most critical issue is the complete lack of direct textual support for biological manipulation. None of the Puranic or Ramayana sources describe anything resembling genetic engineering or biological laboratories. The texts consistently attribute Ravana's 10 heads to divine intervention, specifically Brahma's boon granted after extreme penance, or to his innate nature as a powerful Rakshasa. The Puranic account describes Ravana cutting off his own head 10 times during meditation, with each head regenerating through divine power. This is presented as a spiritual miracle, not a technological process. There are no descriptions of instruments, procedures, or knowledge that would suggest biological manipulation in any sense we would recognize. The genetic engineering theory appears to be a modern interpretation that retrofits contemporary scientific concepts onto ancient narratives. This approach involves several problematic assumptions. First, it treats poetic and metaphorical language as a literal scientific description. Second, it assumes that ancient writers would have described advanced biotechnology using the same conceptual framework we use today. Third, It requires ignoring the explicitly spiritual and mythological context in which these stories were told. Scholars have noted that claims about advanced technology in Hindu scriptures gained significant traction during the 19th and 20th centuries, often in contexts aimed at asserting India's historical primacy in scientific discovery. While this cultural pride is understandable, it can lead to anachronistic interpretations that impose modern concepts onto ancient wisdom traditions. The archaeological evidence for advanced ancient technology is also far more ambiguous than proponents suggest. While sites like Rama Setu, Adam's Bridge, do show evidence of human intervention in natural formations, and while some ancient sites display impressive engineering capabilities, none provide unambiguous evidence of the kind of advanced biotechnology that would be required for genetic manipulation. NASA satellite imagery has confirmed the existence of the limestone formations between India and Sri Lanka, and geological studies suggest that while natural processes created the foundation, human activity may have modified the upper layers. However, this points to sophisticated engineering rather than genetic laboratories. The claims about preserved remains of Ravana in Sri Lankan caves lack scientific verification. While local traditions maintain these stories, no peer-reviewed archaeological study has confirmed the discovery of anomalous skeletal remains that would support the genetic engineering hypothesis. Mainstream academic scholarship views these theories with considerable skepticism for several important reasons. First, they often rely on selective interpretation of evidence, taking ambiguous findings and presenting them as definitive proof. Second, they frequently misinterpret the literary and metaphorical nature of ancient texts, treating symbolic language as literal description. Third, they lack the kind of physical evidence that would be required to support such extraordinary claims. The scholarly consensus emphasizes understanding ancient texts within their own cultural, religious, and literary contexts rather than imposing modern technological interpretations. The Ramayana and Puranas were composed as spiritual, moral, and philosophical works, not as historical or scientific documents in the modern sense. However, this doesn't mean we should dismiss all aspects of these theories. The descriptions of advanced capabilities in ancient texts do raise interesting questions about the knowledge and achievements of prehistoric civilizations. The engineering sophistication evident at many ancient sites suggests that our ancestors possessed remarkable skills and understanding. The key is distinguishing between what the evidence actually supports and what represents speculative interpretation. While ancient civilizations clearly achieved impressive technological feats, the leap from advanced engineering to genetic manipulation requires evidence that simply isn't present in the textual or archaeological record. What's particularly important to understand is that the symbolic interpretations of Ravana's 10 heads don't become less valuable or meaningful if we reject the genetic engineering hypothesis. In fact, the enduring power of these stories lies precisely in their ability to convey profound truths about human nature, power, and wisdom through symbolic language that transcends literal description. The persistence of these technological theories reveals something important about our contemporary relationship with ancient wisdom. We live in an age where scientific and technological advancement dominates our understanding of progress and capability. It's natural that we might project our own paradigms onto the past, interpreting ancient achievements through the lens of our current scientific worldview. But this projection can sometimes obscure the actual genius of ancient cultures, which lay not in possessing modern technology, but in developing sophisticated philosophical, spiritual, and artistic systems that continue to offer profound insights. The iconographic evidence also deserves careful consideration. Across thousands of years and vast geographical distances, Ravana has been consistently depicted with multiple heads in Hindu, Buddhist, and Southeast Asian art. From the magnificent sculptures at Ellora's Kailasa temple to the elaborate bas-reliefs of Angkor Wat, artists have visualized his 10-headed form with remarkable consistency. These artistic representations serve multiple functions. They make abstract concepts tangible, help viewers remember complex narratives, and create powerful visual symbols that communicate meaning across cultural and linguistic boundaries. The fact that artists consistently chose to depict Ravana with 10 heads doesn't prove their literal existence any more than artistic depictions of gods with multiple arms prove the physical reality of such forms. What these artistic traditions do demonstrate is the enduring power of symbolic representation. The 10 heads became an essential part of Ravana's identity, precisely because they effectively communicated his complex nature, his vast knowledge, his multiple vices, his psychological complexity, and his ultimate defeat through the progressive destruction of his negative qualities. The modern fascination with ancient technology theories also reflects our contemporary struggles with questions of human potential and limitation. In an age where we're rapidly developing artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and other transformative technologies, stories of ancient beings with extraordinary capabilities naturally capture our imagination. We wonder, might our ancestors have walked similar paths? Could they have achieved capabilities we're only now approaching? These are legitimate questions that deserve serious investigation. However, the investigation must be grounded in rigorous analysis of actual evidence rather than wishful thinking or anachronistic interpretation. The absence of clear physical evidence for advanced biotechnology in ancient times doesn't diminish the remarkable achievements that ancient civilizations did accomplish in architecture, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. Perhaps the most important insight from our investigation of these technological theories is that they reveal the limitations of purely materialistic interpretations of ancient wisdom. The assumption that the only real explanation for Ravana's 10 heads must be technological or biological reflects a modern bias that privileges physical mechanisms over symbolic meaning. But what if the ancient storytellers were operating from a different understanding of reality altogether? What if they recognized that symbolic truth could be more profound and enduring than literal fact? What if they understood that the most important truths about human nature and cosmic principles could only be communicated through mythological language that transcends the limitations of purely rational discourse? This brings us to a crucial realization. The question of whether Ravana's 10 heads were real in a physical sense may be the wrong question entirely. The more important question is, what truths do they communicate, and how do these truths remain relevant to our contemporary challenges? In our final episode, we're going to synthesize everything we've discovered and arrive at a comprehensive understanding of what Ravana's 10 heads really represent. We'll explore how the symbolic, textual, and even speculative technological interpretations can coexist and inform each other. We'll examine what this ancient mystery teaches us about the nature of knowledge, power, and human potential. And we'll discover why this 3,000-year-old story continues to offer profound insights for navigating the complexities of our modern world. The journey we've taken together through symbolic meanings, textual variations, and controversial theories has prepared us for a final revelation that may surprise you. The real secret of Ravana's 10 heads isn't found in any single interpretation, but in the dynamic interplay between all of them. Join me next time as we unlock the ultimate meaning of this ancient enigma and discover how it can transform your understanding of wisdom, power, and the eternal human journey toward truth.